I start recording. Oh, and so, Tara, do you think we should mute unless we're talking so we don't get background noise? I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, will it interfere with us talking back and forth? Well, let's try it without muting, and then if we get too much background noise, we can switch to. So Molly, in the corners, there's a little mute button. So if we get too staticky and stuff, we'll just click the mute button and unmute it when we want to talk.
Okay.
All right, so let's get started. I think the first thing to kind of think about with Cinder, which I really enjoy actually, is those parallels to Cinderella, because I think. So when I actually went and read about the author's note, how she got the idea for this story was she entered some contest and had to make up a fake version of Puss in Boots, and thought about making it into the future, and it kind of spiraled for her to start this whole series of Cinder. And so that's kind of how she started, by just redoing a fairy tale into the future. So I think, that those parallels of the two stories, I think, are critical to the story. But so like the glass slipper, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think the symbolism is there?
Well, I think the glass slipper would be her foot, the fake foot that she had, and her mom gave her the small one.
So if I think in terms of paralleling to like Cinderella, like how would it fit with Kai?
And initially I was thinking when she put her sister's boots on, I was like, oh, is that like the glass slipper?
Yeah.
When she went to the ball, because that's when the glass slipper went on. But maybe you're right, Molly. Maybe it's something to do with her foot.
The fake foot, maybe.
I don't know, we'd have to dive in there and see if there's anything that links to that. Well, and because she was always covering it up too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to think about that one.
So, in terms of her being like part cyber, part human, I'm wondering if that relates anything to her background when she initially was turned into a cyber. If that has any significance, her foot. I think it was just all because of the accident, right?
Right. She had the accident, and she had to do multiple surgeries. But then, as a punishment, her stepmom put on a small foot. It wasn't the right size proportion to her body.
Mm. So did it say why? I don't remember.
I thought it had to do with money. Like she didn't want to spend the money.
You're right. It had to do with money, but it was where mom prioritized her money, not that she didn't necessarily have the money. Because
Correct.
Mom wasn't working and Cinder was bringing in the money from her business and the payments.
Correct. Because Cinder took her money, like she hid some of the money to buy the new one.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so a lot of that correlates a lot to the original Cinderella with the stepmom and the sisters, and there's a
lot of resentment that the dad left.
Right.
the step
And then
of not knowing the history of
And
why.
then it may have been her fault. Mom may have perceived it as Cinder's fault that Dad died because he got the disease when he picked her up or after he picked her up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of correlates too. You know, at first when I started reading it, I was like, you know, thinking, I wonder why it's called Cinder, because it didn't kind of fit the bill. And then when the prince came to her little shop, then it was like, oh, here we go. Okay, now it's Lincoln.
It took a little bit to get into.
Yeah.
I agree. It took me like over 100 pages to get into it.
A friend of mine who had read it said, keep reading, you'll get there, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just had to take a bit.
Yeah, and I did so much that I bought the rest of the series, Molly, so I can read them.
There you go.
I think what
We'll
was
have to-
difficult for me to get into was all the new vocabulary. I don't know if my brain was ready for that. Of thinking of, you know, because Jackie, you said, oh, it's based on like the Cinderella story. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
When I started reading it on like Cyborg and Lunar and, you know, all
Yeah,
of it,
right.
was like, I think it took me a while just to get my brain ready to read it, because we were trying to figure out so many things at the beginning, like, what does that mean? What? You know, so you're trying to make all of these connections.
Yeah, so if you were reading it with kids, you'd need to kind of set them up for all that, I think. You'd need to. That's okay. I just had a teacher walk in. And I even think with the whole history behind the lunar, too, I think you'd need to cover that before they started reading it, because to me it was like I kind of got lost in it a little bit, trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, I think you definitely need to do some front loading.
Well, the book, the teacher that is using this book is a 6th grade teacher, and she said it's one that boys really enjoy because it has the cyborg stuff in it. She said it really hooks the boys in.
Oh yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah.
So all along, just like reading a Cinderella story, I keep thinking, okay, so how far is this thing with the prince going to go? Are they going to get together? Is he going to like her? She's so afraid, you know, to reveal herself.
Is it going to end happily ever after?
Right? Like, how's it go? How's it going to go?
And then you have the queen, who was really a witch. She wasn't very nice.
Yeah, that would fit into that whole piece. So what about the fairy godmother? Who do you think that might be?
I was just thinking of that.
So I think the pumpkin carriage would be the car that she's trying to revamp, right?
Right. Could the fairy godmother be the doctor?
That's what I was thinking, Molly.
Because he's kind to her. He gives her advice and also tells her why she's different. And then honors her request for, yeah, you're valuable and here's the extra money, we'll put it in your account.
Yeah, so he does help her out a lot, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And even there are times he's lying and she knows it, but it's to protect him. She has that lie indicator on her.
I know, that is so cool, right? So I think Tara and I were talking about that before, is like, of all the things that are available, like what things do you think would be a good thing to have in the future? I don't know if that would be so good or not.
That one, well,
I mean, sometimes you can kind of tell if people are lying anyways, but that, I mean, she just like on her screen in her head, just like would pop up. It was kind of interesting. I don't know if I'd like that or not.
Yeah, it'll probably soon be a technology out there.
Yeah. Well, is she the only one that had that, or how did she get that?
So that's part of the lunar piece.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That, and she doesn't have the emotional feeling piece that everybody else has, that humans have.
Right.
Oh,
But yet I think she does though, because she gets emotional about the sisters and stuff.
Right.
The younger one. Anyway,
You're right.
Peony.
but she didn't cry.
No.
But she felt frustration, anger.
She couldn't feel embarrassment.
Yeah.
It didn't register.
So what do you think is happening when the doctor does something in her back and she gets flashbacks or something, or everything, and it's a lot of pain?
I can't remember where that part is.
I'm going to see if I can find it here.
It's when she goes in to get checked out. He touches her back and sends her into basically a puddle on the floor.
But
then it happens again.
It happens again, but there's something now that, because I've read the whole thing, but there was something with how it would get less painful. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I do remember that. And you have to go exactly which page that was at.
Yeah.
But did that mean she was becoming more and more human?
I don't know.
Or less cyborg?
I don't
So
know.
here on page 152, it's talking about her convulsing.
There was a reason he told her. I just don't know where that was.
Okay, so somebody explain what calm is to me. You know what? And
Where are you?
before, I'm on page 151, 152. So the other thing I was thinking about is, like, if you're reading a book with kids, sometimes I think when you're doing it for like lit discussions and stuff, I think it would be important for the kids not to read ahead, because you kind of get lost in where you are if you've read it all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the importance of them knowing that, when we read in a group, we need to stay with where the group is, even though you want to read ahead. It kind of spoils it for yourself and the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you could split the groups up, if people want to read ahead, maybe they could be in a different group or something.
Yeah.
I'd hate to stop them.
But yet, if you want to discuss a certain part, and if you're like wanting to predict, what might happen and all that, you already know. So then it's.
You had asked a question. What was the question again, Jackie?
Oh, what is COMM? COMM.
Oh, isn't that the system that's like the email and all the news flashes come over?
Okay, so that's what comes across her head sometimes?
Right.
Okay.
And that's what's showing in the rooms when she walks in?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was the communication system.
Yeah.
The
That makes
future
sense.
email.
Oh, okay.
Scary.
Yeah, too, and the piece of them, when people were sick and dying, that they pulled their chips out and sold them and used them. That was interesting.
Which reminds me, I just read a piece about Sweden and their working environments. This is a bird walk, but it relates.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having a pass with your code number on it, they were putting chips in the people, and they could just scan them with their chips. So I think
it's on its way, huh?
that future is already here, and I think it's really scary.
Well, it is, because even think about that too. Like, it would be very easy then to dig somebody's chip out and take on their identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have chips like that they put in dogs already, you know, so you can find your dog when it's lost or whatever. But to identify you as a person, that is kind of scary.
That is.
In Sweden, what do they use it for again?
It was for business. It was a business. They'd have chip parties and people would automatically volunteer to get a chip put in them. And then they could walk through the building without having to scan their card or put their number in to go door to door and receive services within their business.
So it's like you don't have to carry your credit card or anything around
Right.
anymore. You just got, you guys scan your little hand with your chip in or whatever.
Right.
Wow.
I read that just this week and I thought, scary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's similar to what happened in this story.
Right. Yeah. Mm.
So I wonder if the author knew that, like has done research about future and what it could look like to have all these ideas. And maybe I'm just not a creative thinker to write
Well,
about.
and maybe she did. Maybe she did.
Maybe she did. I don't know.
But it could go ahead, Jackie.
No, I was going to say, it did say something about her diving into technology and stuff to think in terms of like what she was going to add into the story. So that could be.
I mean, that could be a big debate with kids too. You could do a whole nother.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You could do so many things with this book with the kids, but that would be one big one. Do you agree with that or not? Or how could that cause problems? How could it help?
Right.
Pros and cons.
Yeah. Well, even the whole piece of the Lunar Queen, where she can disguise how awful she really looks, and actually controlling a crowd of people by her powers. You know, what would that be like to have a president or a person running a country that can control the population? Yeah.
Well, and it has happened, you think?
Right? Yeah.
Maybe not with their looks, but with their words.
Yeah.
Manipulation. I just think of Hitler, like he controlled the whole country.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Really.
You had asked about the chip in her, and I was wondering if that chip was related to the chip that was in the prince's little robot. Somebody put a different chip in there to record all the information. I wonder if her chip in her back is related to
The chip that was implanted in the android?
Right.
Because that android started spewing out all the information about her.
Right. And that's what it was, the queen. So I wonder if the queen originally put the chip in there. That's a far stretch.
Well, I was kind of thinking it was the aide that was with the prince that was helping out. I thought she was the one that implanted it.
You're right. She implanted it, but who is benefiting from the information?
Oh, I'm sure the queen, right? Yeah.
Right.
Right. Because wasn't she trying to find Cinder?
Right.
Because I don't know. I think everyone believed that princess was no longer, but they had suspicions that she still was alive. I think he was trying to find her because if she is alive, then she loses all her power.
Correct. That's what I think.
And so when the prince was looking for her too, he knew that. I think that's why that chip got put into that android thing.
I think you're right.
So you think that Kai was looking for Cinder too. Well, the princess. He doesn't know that it's Cinder.
I think he was definitely looking for her. And I think he definitely knew that was her when he took his little robot to get fixed.
Really? Where's the evidence? Really? I never even thought that.
Well, you go back to what he was researching prior to his little robot breaking down. It was her, because that would prevent the queen from becoming his wife, taking over.
Molly, did you read the whole book?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's me going ahead, but...
No, I was staying with where we were.
Okay.
Well, you hadn't... Okay.
I got most of it, but not the ending part. So.
Okay, so we can't...
Don't tell me.
I won't.
Oh. How about question 2, Jackie, that we sent? What does it mean to be human? Like, was Cinder human or was she not human in their regards, in their eyes? That's kind of an interesting question.
Yeah, it is. Well,
what does it mean? Yeah, what does it mean to be human? Was she or was she not?
So when you talk about that she doesn't have, she can't show emotion, but I think she does have emotion. So I'm thinking she is, right? She is part human and part not. Part cyber.
Almost like part human but part machine, because she's programmed, or she has like all the metal inside her.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. That would be a tough one for kids.
It would be, because like, what does it mean to be human? I mean, the emotional piece, I think, is probably the biggest piece, right?
I don't know.
Well, she's interacting like a human.
Mm-hmm.
She has her business. I don't know. It's a tough one.
So would all the cyborgs be part human and part cyber?
That's what I'm thinking.
So then if they are, then they would be human. I mean, because look at people now. There's a lot of people that have, metal legs, arms, blah, 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 blah. They're not any less human because of those parts. They just don't have all the brain things that are connected with the cyber.
It's the bionic person.
Yeah. How much of you is real?
That's right. Wasn't there a TV show? Was it The $6 Million Man?
Yeah, something like that.
So we were at Cyberg's a long time ago.
Right.
But then the other question they have there is, why do you think they led to be perceived less human in her world?
Well, I think about that, and I think about people with handicaps. Here, sometimes they're not always viewed as positive as a person without a handicap.
Yeah, I think so too. So it's part of that whole caste system, right? I'm here and you're here, and I mean it goes on wherever you are. It doesn't matter what they find something to make you less than them.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went on the author's website, I kind of read a little bit about the Lunars, because I was trying to figure out, like, where'd she come up with the ideas and all that stuff. And it did say on there that it was a group of scientists that went up to the moon and started doing research and then built this colony underground, actually. But then because there were so few people, they intermixed, and then came up with this, like the originals were the king and queen and their daughters, and then the rest of the people were, less than, and then somehow with the mutation is where they came up with the ability to detect lies and hide themselves, and the shells were the ones that mutated from there, and they didn't possess those pieces, so that's why they wanted to get rid of them, because they were not like them, because they mutated from the other genes. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how she came about all this stuff to put her books together. And really, when you think about it, we're close to landing on the moon right now, aren't we? We could be.
You mean on Mars?
Mars or the moon or somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
We could start our own lunar colony or whatever.
Well, I think it's coming.
Interesting. Well, it is 12 o'clock, and so again, to honor time, we can stop here if you want, and then finish up with the rest of the book and look at some of the other questions that were on there to talk about. Is there anything else anybody wants to focus on from the next meeting?
No. I think the questions spur some good conversation.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, do we want to set a date and time as long as we're all on here? So next Thursday is not going to work for you, is it, Tara? With no. Then Friday, does everybody have off on Friday?
Yeah.
So you want to wait till like Monday or Tuesday the next week? What works best for you, Molly and Tara? I'm pretty flexible.
That Tuesday won't work.
Okay.
Monday works for me. Wednesday works.
I could do Monday.
Should we do Monday, the 17th at 11:30 again?
Sure.
Okay. Sounds great. And then if we figure out that we need to do anything else for this, we can email you, Molly, ahead of time.
Is this read the rest of the book?
Yep. So we'll start from that chapter, I think 21 to the end.
Okay.
And I can find out what happens.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm actually pretty close to the end, but I wanted to stop till we could talk about it. So, all right, good.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend.
You too.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Jackie.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Just to clarify, the 17th, right?
Yep. 17th at 11:30.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Good. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.